Since we're going to be spending a lot of time using C# Express to build our applications, we should probably take a few moments and get familiar with the IDE and see how it works. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the C# 2010 Express. And you'll see that when the application comes up, it's a very simple UI. There's the start page right here on the left-hand side. And then over here, there's something called the Solution Explorer. A couple things you need to know about C# right up front. C# Express organizes everything into projects. Projects are what applications are made from. And you might sometimes hear the word project interspersed or interchanged with the word solution. That's not completely true. Solutions are basically top-level projects that can contain other projects. And when we build a project, it'll appear in the Solution Explorer here on the right-hand side of the screen. So let's go ahead and create a new project. And we can do that one of two ways. We can click on the New Project link here in the Start page, or we can go up to the File menu and choose New Project. So I'm going to choose New Project. And the New Project dialog launches, and we can choose what kind of project we want to build. Throughout this course, we'll be working with console applications because it gets the user interface out of the way and just lets us concentrate on the language. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the console application to select it if it's not already done so. You should do the same thing. Down here in the bottom of the dialog, there's a place where we can enter the name of the project. And I'll just type in something. I'll just call it My Project. And I'm going to click the OK button. This is going to create the project for us. All right, now that we have the project built, let's take a look at C# Express and see what's going on here in the UI. So over here in the Solution Explorer, you'll notice that the window has been filled out with some information, and we will get back to that in just a moment. The project code is over here open in the editor. And the new project isn't actually saved yet. It is fully functional. You can go ahead and run it, you can edit it, you can do all kinds of things, but it's sitting out in temporary space right now. If we wanted to actually put all this work onto disk, we would go to the File menu, and we would choose Save My Project or Save All. And when I choose Save All, you'll see that I get a dialog that says, hey, here's the name, here's where it's going to be saved, here's what the solution name is. I have the option to create a directory for the solution. And at this point, I can choose to name it something else if I don't like the name that I originally came up with. And I'm just going to go ahead and choose Save. That will put the project on disk for me in the Documents folder or whatever path I selected in the Save dialog. Let's go ahead and take a look at the project files over here in the Solution Explorer. You'll see that underneath the top-level My Project heading, there's a couple of folders. There's the Properties folder and References. Let's go ahead and expand those. Underneath Properties, there's a file called assemblyinfo.cs. Now, I'm just going to quickly open this up so you can see what's inside it. We won't be going through this in this course because this is a little bit advanced information, but this is the information that C# Express will save along with your application that describes to the .NET framework what the application is, how it works, various pieces of information that .NET needs to know about the program in order to run it. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Under the References folder, you'll see a whole bunch of things like Microsoft and System and so on. These are the actual .NET framework libraries that get associated with your project when you make a new one. These will change based upon what kind of project you're creating. In this case, we've built a console application, so these are the .NET libraries that a console application needs to run. Some of them are optional, some of them are not. The .NET framework just goes ahead and includes them in case you need to use them later. So let's go ahead and close those folders up. The program.cs file, this is the default file that gets created along with your application that contains your main code for the application. And you can choose to add new C# files as you go along, depending on how complex your application is. We're not going to do that right now. Let's just take a trip through the user interface of C# Express so we can see how it works. I've already shown you the File menu. That's up over here. This is where we create projects and save things. Pretty standard file menu stuff. Let's move over to the View menu. In the View menu, you'll see it's pretty simple. I can choose to view the Start page again. There's other windows that we'll be looking at. I'll just go ahead and choose one right now. This one is the Error List. This window down here shows you if there are any errors or warnings or anything else in your code. And we'll get back to that later. So let's go ahead and close that. Also under the menu, there are toolbars. And you can see that I've got some toolbars showing. The project menu is where we control what's in our project. So we can add items to the project, we can add references and so on. We're not going to do that right now, but we'll probably do it later. Under the debug menu, this is how we run the application in order to test it out. We can also build our solution right here. This will build the program without actually running it. I'm going to skip over the data menu and go to tools. Under the tools menu, I'm going to show you a couple things. First, under settings, there's a couple of ways that you can use C# Express. There's basic settings and there's expert settings. I have left it on basic settings right now because we're not going to be using any of the expert settings for now in our application. What I am going to do, though, is show you under options. Now, under the options dialog, there's a couple of things I've changed that you might want to change along with me to make some of the examples a little bit easier to follow. You can see that under fonts and colors, I've changed the size and the font to make things readable. Now, there's a checkbox down here that says Show All Settings. So I'm going to check that for a moment. You can see that when I do that, a whole bunch of other settings show up. What I'm going to do is under Text Editor, I'm going to choose C#, and you can see that there's an option under Display for line numbers. Now, that's not there if I turn off the Show All Settings function. So turn on Show All Settings, and then go down to the C# option here and check the line numbers option to show line numbers in your code. Click OK. And that pretty much completes our tour through the UI for using C# Express. We'll see more of this as we go throughout the course, but for now, that should be a nice overview introduction to the application and how it works.